professionals.
No, you don't ever stop. You just bring it. I got questions, I got statements, but I got to ask you first and foremost, we're in camp now. The time for optimism is over. The time for realism is here. So walk me through. First week camp, what are your thoughts? Let's start with the quarterback.
Anthony Richardson just looks different. Like, if you watch Gardner Minshew do what he does, he looks like Matt Ryan and Sam Ehlinger. It's the same crap. It's same check down Charlie nonsense, bubble screens, little ins. Anthony Richardson loads up and then runs. When he moves, he just moves different. There is no way that you start Gardner Minshew in Buffalo. You don't start him here. You don't start him in Philly. You don't start him against the Jaguars. Anthony Richardson is the only quarterback that makes any sense for this team at all.
The concerns of accuracy. Now, I know it's camp, and thanks to everybody for joining us today.
Yes.
Like and subscribe. Why should they do that?
Subscribe to this channel and to my channel, and you are entered to win an Anthony Richardson Indiana Knights jersey with the stripe on the side and the black trim around the numbers and all of that stuff. We've seen a sudden spike in subscriptions, and we like that. We like giving people stuff, rewarding them for being with us.
And it's the polite thing to do.
It is the polite thing to do. So like this video, that's polite too.
Yes, thank you. Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
All right. Is he accurate enough? Have we seen any of this? I mean, all that crap that we heard.
He is occasionally more than occasionally, really accurate. He had a back shoulder throw on Monday to Strawn that was perfect. And he's had other throws that were perfect. And then some are a little bit drifty, and
like any court, you're supposed to learn in camp. This is what drives me nuts. You're supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to learn. Thanks, Tom's River, for being here, the home of the great Todd Frazier. Anyway, you're supposed to learn. You're supposed to make mistakes. I don't give a damn if you throw 10 interceptions in camp. Don't throw the same interception in camp, right?
And he doesn't. And Minshew is throwing picks too.
Right.
So all of this nonsense about, Richardson is high ceiling, low floor. Gardner Minshew seems to be middle ceiling, low floor too.
Okay, that's why he's on a $2 million deal or whatever.
Has he ever played worth a crap against any other defensive coordinator other than Matt Eberflus?
No.
He is going to look awesome next week. He's going to look awesome against Eberflus.
Yeah, the Bears,
Guaranteed.
He's going to look like freaking Joe Montana throwing the ball. But, that's kind of the story, or at least that was the story. But the real story is, what's going on with Jonathan Taylor? I've seen this before. I'm going to get into it after you're done.
Yeah, it depends on who you believe. And I've got to be lied to by somebody before I learn to distrust them. Some people distrust as their default setting. And some people trust as their default setting. And then once you're lied to, like Frank Reich lied. So I never trusted Frank Reich again.
What did he lie about? What?
Oh, hell, he lied about everything. He lied about injuries. He lied about the quality of the team. There's almost nothing he didn't lie about. But Steichen hasn't yet. And so I believe Steichen. When he says it's the ankle, he's rehabbing it off-site. If you don't see him out on the field, that's what he's doing. Okay. But don't lie to me or we got a problem. I don't know whether that's a lie or not.
Why off-site? Well, I mean, they build these beautiful buildings. Farm Bureau, was complaining at us at Emmis. You got to call it the Farm Bureau Training Center. We've given all. Why was Peyton Manning off-site? Why was Andrew Luck? I've seen this before, Ken. You talk about lying. I'm going to go to Ballard and the whole operation. If you remember, Andrew Luck had an ankle. No, wait, it was soft tissue. No, wait, it was a calf. No, let's trot old Peyton out there so old Peyton can say, I talked to Andrew. He getting ready to play. He's going to be good. Yeah, next thing you know, the dude retires.
Right.
They've lied to us like it's their freaking job in that effing organization. That's all they do. So why is everybody off-site? Everybody's off-site.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
We both worked for MS Communications.
Yes.
When we were at MS Communications, if one of us, God forbid, had a heart attack, and MS said, we've got a cardiologist on staff. We want you to see that cardiologist. Would you pick your own cardiologist, or would you go to the MS cardiologist?
Yes, I get it. Okay, all right, you're right, I'm wrong. I get that. Not afraid to admit I'm wrong. But why all the secrecy?
You're
why?
Reluctant on occasion.
No,
you're wrong.
when I'm actually wrong, I'll give it to you. But I'm sitting here going, wait a second, man. This is always clandestine. So, okay, he's got an ankle. Does he really? Why is it still hurt? This happened back in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Is old Peyton going to go out there and go, hey, guys, I'll tell you what, man, I think he's going to be ready to play. And everybody's going to laugh and go, oh, God, golly gee, Peyton said he's going to be ready. The Colts are so full of shit. Ballard's so full of shit. I tell you what I think's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because this makes sense to me. Jimmy Irsay is going to go, all right, here's the deal. We're going to give you like 12 million, 13, 14. We'll give you a 3-year deal. We'll make it even out to 13 million, which is more than the market value. And you know what? You're going to take it. You know, and he's going to take it.
Did you see what Michael Lombardi said about Jim Irsay?
No.
Said he's like the uncle you invite over to Thanksgiving dinner, and when the turkey's served, he farts loudly. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Irsay, did we need anything? We haven't spoken since Irsay got on the golf cart and was in the bus and talked to Taylor and all of that crap. What's he doing? Why is this a strategy for the team?
I'll tell you.
It's a mess.
He's taking his team back. This team, I've said this for years, this team, they overcorrected when they fired the meanie Grigson. We're going to be all about PR, and we're not doing OTAs because old Buck didn't want to do OTAs. DeForest fucking Buckner didn't want to do them, so we're not going to do them. And all this bullshit that they had. And I think Jimmy Irsay is saying, wait a second. Hey, look, Ballard, I kept you because I didn't want to go through the crap of hiring a GM. My daughters are in all the meetings. We're running this show now. And this is what we're doing. We're taking this team back. We've had enough bullshit out of Wright. Excuse my language. We've had enough bullshit out of Ballard. Yes, you're here. Have we heard from Ballard during this whole thing?
No.
Nothing.
Not since camp open.
Zero.
And that's what I do.
I would too. That's what I think Jimmy Irsay is doing. I think Jimmy Irsay is making it clear to the fans, well, what he's really saying is Dockage has been right all these years, and this is a bullshit organization. Andrew Luck didn't want to play here. Rivers didn't want to play here. They offered him another 27. Gilmore wanted out so fast. Ryan called it a shit show. These are all, like, I don't care what the punter says, and I don't care what the third team guy that leaves an organization, but these are legit pros.
Yeah.
And when legit
who worked somewhere else.
Yeah, except for Luck.
How it works.
Luck worked with someone else. And these are legit dudes.
Yeah.
And when they came here, Reggie Wayne, I almost threw up. The leadership and the mannerisms of Matt Ryan are so similar to Peyton.
Yeah.
And everybody genuflected and bowed to Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore was horseshit last year. They had to get rid of him. They got rid of him for a 5th-round pick, and he wanted out as soon as he got here. That's a problem with the organization, Kent. This is what I've been saying for 6 years.
Is Jim Irsay the guy to take back the reins and all of a sudden have it make sense?
No, but who else can? He's the owner.
Yeah, he's
the owner.
Guy.
Yes,
nobody
the answer
else
is yes. Yes. I mean, unless you brought in, like you've said this, and I want to know if it continues. You've said this last time we did a show, and I apologize, it's been a couple weeks. Last time we did a show, you were impressed with how Steichen has had order. He's had accountability. He's had precision in his practice. Has that continued?
Yes.
It has.
They're on time, and they move the horn. You look at your clock, like if practice is set to start at 10, it starts at 10. If it's scheduled to end at 10:40 or 11:20 or whatever, it ends. They are moving from like thing to thing, station to station quickly. They're running into things. It's very well organized.
And they're getting things done. Sense.
Yeah. Although the one thing that I would disagree with is the starting reps that Minshew's getting, because it makes no sense. How many reps with ones will benefit him compared to the reps with the ones that Richardson would get? That makes no sense to me at all. I don't know why they're doing it this way. It wouldn't surprise me to see them start Minshew on Saturday. I don't know why. This is at best a 5-win team with Minshew as a starting quarterback. With Richardson, you got a chance. So why not start this guy and just say to hell with it? This is our guy. I don't know what's to lose doing that.
I'm going to piggyback on what you're saying. I've said this forever that I'll never forget. There are certain things that get ingrained in your mind at different points in your life. I will never forget running out. I think it was the Yugoslavian national team, my freshman year at Indiana. And we didn't do those things like they do now where guys get on the court an hour ahead, they play music. We didn't do that. We got to the game, whatever time you needed, an hour and a half before the game, you stayed in the locker room. And as Kent, I swear to God, I will never forget running out onto Assembly Hall with a game day. First time it was game day setup, the band, the bleachers pulled out, the people, the thing, and it was completely different. I felt like I was a visitor. I felt like this isn't the same place.
Yeah.
And it was so good for a freshman. I talked to other guys and they're like, damn, wasn't that different? The whole arena. You you didn't have that in high school, isn't it? But that's why I say I got to put Richardson out there immediately.
Yeah.
Because he's practicing over here in Grant Park, and they may have a practice over at Lucas Oil, but it's not game day set. I got to get him as comfortable as I possibly can, as quickly as I possibly can, because it's different.
And that was the first game, I think, after the national championship.
Yeah, right? Landon
So
Turner.
people
are crazy. Yes, it was. And Landon had gotten in a car accident.
Yeah.
So it was just an electric environment. But the whole thing is different. And Lucas Oil Stadium, compare that to practicing out there with Grant Park.
That's a great point.
It's just so different. You look on the sideline of an NFL game, there's dudes everywhere.
Yeah.
The cameras are there. That truck that slides on the sideline, everything, Kent, is just different. It was different when Dick Enberg and Billy Packer and Al McGuire came in on a Saturday. It was different. And you got to get used to that, or else you're going to feel no advantage. You're going to feel like you're the visiting team, or not the visiting team, but you're uncomfortable.
Let me ask you about Richardson as a player, because you've had these guys who are like high-end athletes, but maybe not ready. And then you've got a guy who maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 5, but you can trust him.
Oh,
He's going to make the right choice. You got maybe wrong choice Wally, but wrong choice Wally is going to win you games by making the wrong choice because he's such a freak athlete. What do you do?
Well, it depends on the level of trust. Like if I absolutely felt like Anthony Richardson couldn't win us a game right now, and a coach would know this because how much he studied, how can he check? I was watching a thing on quarterbacks yesterday, and Kirk Cousins' second game. It was the first episode, Quarterbacks. It's on Netflix. Great series. Well, Kirk Cousins talked about the game was set up because on the first play, he didn't get out of a run play. And Dalvin Cook lost 2 yards. And I'm like, wow, that's the first play. But they talked about, they said, I wasn't good enough. I wasted downs.
Yeah.
So coaches, and that was a level that we don't have. And that's why I always say, if you haven't coached, you haven't played. I'll say this about football. I don't understand that part of it. I understand the psychology, but not the actual. And if I know that Richardson can't win me a game, it's hard for me to put him out there.
It was really interesting. The other day we talked to Jim Bob Cooter, to your point, and he was talking about situations where Richardson needs to understand this is the play that was called, but now we see this. So you've got to go to the right play against that front and against that secondary. And when he can do that, we're going to know that he's taken a step. But it was the inference from that is we can't trust him to do that yet.
Yeah.
When can we trust him? The preseason is a good time to build that trust, right?
Yeah, and the other trust comes in, well, all right, he may not understand this, but he can play us out of it.
Yeah.
He can make a play out of it. He can make something, okay, like Minshew, I don't think, maybe he's a better athlete than I'm going to give him credit for, but he can't play out of it, right? I mean, he's not going to, but that's what, a guy that can shoot. That's why you trust shooters, because they can shoot you out of it. You put him in a corner and he gets a shot. Well, what can he do? He can shoot. Well, he's got a shot here to play because they can do something. And that's the thing with Richardson.
Yeah.
Can he run you out of it on third down, even though he didn't make the right switch, he didn't make the right adjustment. That's where you balance. But I got to tell you, in football, basketball, I got a fourth selection in the draft. I don't have an established quarterback. This is not me having Aaron Rodgers here and Jordan Love. You're going to sit and watch. Unless I know that he can't eat, I got to play him. Nobody's coming out of camp saying Minshew looks great, are they? You've been there.
No. No one's saying
No
that.
one's saying that.
So let me bring it to basketball again, because this is kind of shooters. You mentioned they force you to defend out.
Yeah.
And that spreads the defense. If you got a quarterback like last year with Matt Ryan, inside the numbers and 20 yards downfield, that's as far as the defense had to play. Mm-hmm. This is all the way out to the sidelines, beyond the numbers to the sidelines, and about 40 yards down the field. That opens up holes all over the place and makes you a real bitch to be able to play against defensively.
Yes and no. You just described why Carson Wentz kept getting chances.
Yeah.
Right? You just described it. Because 100%. He can throw the ball 40 yards down the field, and he can run. Now, how's that worked out for Carson Wentz? Not great. How'd it work out for the Colts getting him? Not great. But you just described it. That's the potential that you look at. That's what you're saying to yourself. All right, God dang, if we can just get this right.
Yeah.
And, that's where it goes back to accuracy. Because, look, if I'm going to, I can't imagine that you would play man-to-man against a Richardson team, because man-to-man, everybody turns their back and guards their guy. And next thing you know, he breaks the line of scrimmage, and now it's a 30-yard gain where you don't think he can throw a 30-yard gain. If I were defending Richardson, I would pay attention to every quote. If I were coaching against Richardson, I would pay attention to every quote that comes out of Colts camp. I would have a operations guy, every single quote. Every single thing, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's an assistant coach, I would study the quotes coming out of Colts camp, because I want to know, and they will tell you this, you just got to really pay attention. I want to know what they think of him. If you can gauge what they think of him, then you're going to be able to game plan against him. So if I'm the Colts, and this is the way Indiana basketball used to be, nothing's coming out of us.
Yeah.
You're not hearing shit about who we're recruiting.
Yeah.
We got Kirk Haston because Purdue talked about having Kirk Haston. We didn't know who Kirk Haston was. But I'm up in Purdue, we're getting ready to play him one day, and I'm reading their student newspaper, and they're talking about Kirk Haston. I'm like, shit, 6'11" kid from Tennessee. We made a phone call. We were down there to see him the day after the Purdue game. And next thing you know, he becomes a pro. You don't talk. But right. I'm telling you, because I want to know. And you got to look at the interviewer, meaning I got to look at Steichen. I got to look at what he's saying. I got to see in his eyes. I'm videotaping everything because I want to know what they think.
And there are guys who will tell you with their mannerisms.
100%.
Brian Kelly, Quentin Nelson, if they're excited about a guy, they'll show it. If they're not, they'll show that too. And that gives me hope for Richardson because they're saying good stuff.
Well, I want to see, yes. But I want to know, what are they excited about? That's what I want to know.
About his leadership, about the way he takes command in the huddle.
That's not what I care about as an opponent. I care about what are they.
What he's comfortable doing.
What he's comfortable doing.
Okay.
What throws he's making. Is he still learning to call out of a play, to move out of a play? What plays is he most comfortable with? I got to know all that.
I'll tell you this, and I don't want to help the Jaguars or anybody else, but what he's real comfortable doing is throwing outs. He's really comfortable throwing back shoulder. Over the middle, not quite so comfortable. There aren't as many balls, at least from me watching, over the middle in 11 on 11. 7 on 7 is a little bit different. But 11 on 11, he's really favoring out.
I'll tell you what I would do as a Jaguar. I would tape this. I would have a guy, like we used to get every newspaper in Indiana. Every newspaper, East Lansing, Illinois, everyone. And I did it at Bowling Green. We would cut out every article. We would read everything. I want to know if I'm playing again, because Anthony Richardson can embarrass you.
Yes.
Like if you're the Jaguars and you're supposed to be a team that is competing for an AFC championship, which is the kind of natural progression with a quarterback that was the number one pick, with a team that made that incremental jump, okay, you can get embarrassed opening day like the Colts have been embarrassed when they've been in the Jacksonville position in Jacksonville by a quarterback that's not supposed to be ready. that does some shit that you
like
knew.
Gardner Minshew.
Or Anthony Richardson that Kent Sterling knew by watching camp that he could throw outs. If he beats you on outs, that's on you, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's not anybody else. That's how coaching goes.
Boy, he can throw it deep too. I don't know if he can throw it like if you could somehow fuse Gardner Minshew's sort of underneath ability a little bit with Anthony Richardson's ability to go this way, go vertical. That'd be pretty good.
Like, how many times have you said, man, if I can just put your brain into that ability or that ability into that brain.
I've said that a lot about it.
We would have hell. I got tired of that. That's why I like my broadcasting reputation. Dockich is really good, but he's wild. You can't kind of like that. Because in basketball, it's always, he's really slow and not athletic. But if you took his brain, I got tired of that. I want to be like the overly athletic guy that you have to.
But if you're like basketball, if you're a thug, not that you're a radio thug, but if you're a little unpredictable in your behavior on the court, you get people like waiting for you to do something nutty, and that works for you. It works in competition. It works in the radio.
But in Richardson's case, Colts are waiting for him. We're going to wait for him to break a play. That's the something nutty. The opponent and the critics are waiting for him to throw a ball behind a wide open receiver that gets picked. And next thing you know, he can't throw. So that's the something nutty in this. We're all going to be like, it's coming. If you can just break this, I want to see him in the open field. That's what we're going to be. And
the crowd out of camp is funny because you can't hit quarterbacks. You can't touch them. They'll have designed runs for Richardson. They can't hit him. So he jukes and he moves by. People, whoa, look at that. Well, they can't hit him. What are you getting excited about? I could do that.
You and I have had this conversation, man. Barry Bonds stood up there with armor all over the side. If you're not afraid of a pitch or you're not afraid of a hit as a quarterback, I got to believe that makes you 50% better at both because that's a big deal. I saw somebody just tweeted out, and I wanted to get into this with you, Alec Pierce. Here it goes. Alec Pierce is so much better this year. He should be number one. I mean, just by osmosis. Has anybody to you, you've been there, popped off the charts, Alec Pierce, like, man, this is going to be, Mo Alley Cox or Jelani Woods or the new guy Ogletree. Have any of these guys been like, all right?
Pierce has been pretty good. Pierce, they'll run like a route combination that busts him loose on the right sideline, and like the other day, and Richardson hit him in stride. It was beautiful. It was really nice. But Josh Downs is a guy who's different. Josh Downs accelerates through a cut in a way that's really unusual. And I was talking to Rick Venturi about him. We're just watching him, and we're watching Juju Brents. Because Juju Brents looked good, but he was going up against threes. So what do you take from that? Anybody could cover the threes. But Josh Downs, just the way he moves, he underneath is going to be really, really interesting out of the slot.
I think that's a great pick. We've talked about him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the same guy, but for lack of a better comparison, so people understand, that's T.Y. Hilton. That's the next T.Y. Hilton. I mean, same size-ish. Small.
And about 97 catches the last 2 years at North Carolina, a lot of yards after the catch. He is a really unique, interesting guy that you're going to have to scheme against. And that leaves Pittman and Pierce
to do what they should do.
My God, man, if Jonathan Taylor is well, and he's just sitting because he's pissed off, he is spending a lot of money. Because Anthony Richardson, his skill set with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield and the defense that's going to have to play against them because it's not going to be 8 in the box, he would be a monster this year. He would make all kinds of money coming out after this year. And is he just going to sit around and do nothing?
But that's the problem. You said he's going to make all kind of money after this year. That's not what's happening. That's not. You're not all of a sudden having a good year, and it's unfortunate.
But at the very least, you're going to get franchised.
Well, that's apparently what he doesn't want to be.
It just sticks.
I know. You're preaching to the choir. Like, I said this. Tell me if you agree. Jonathan Taylor, you're a smart guy. You got great reputation. You got your degree. Apparently, you could get into Harvard or Yale or wherever the hell else you wanted to go. Do yourself a favor. Try this. Try to make $10 million using that Wisconsin degree. See how that goes for you.
You know, like there's a penalty behind intellect for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
Too smart to learn, too smart to play.
Yes. Like, people can say the money doesn't matter. I'm at least, and it does. 1,000% does when you're in the position of those guys, because you have a limited time to make that kind of money. If I'm Jonathan Taylor, good for him and good for running backs for standing up. Good for him. But I'm playing. I'm banking that 10 mil. Most guys don't even spend their salary. They got all this other ancillary stuff from cards and other things. You bank that money. I'm playing. I'm not risking. People say, well, it's a risk to play. No, it's not. The risk is in not playing.
Right.
I mean,
it's $250,000 every game check. You're gonna no thanks. And does he have the back? And could they put him on the NFI list?
This is the problem. All of a sudden, here's a back. That he's saying, we haven't talked about this, that he's saying wasn't a back. He's saying find better sources. Okay, again. To Chap.
Chap got sources. Chap is not going to.
No.
I was talking to Chap about this, and he said that he's gotten calls from on high where he said, I'm not writing that because I know it to be untrue. Like he's not. He's not going after clicks.
He's got calls from
the top of the pyramid.
People saying that Taylor's full of shit. It's a back.
Not that. No, this was a different story.
Oh, okay.
Different story.
Okay.
But this lets you know that he's not full of shit and that he's not just going to flame out there trying to get clicks. It's not about getting good sources. If Chap writes it, if he tweets it, he's got the sources locked down and he knows it to be true.
Well, let me throw this to you. Here we are again.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck. Was it a knee? Was it an ankle? Was it a soft tissue?
Snowboarding? Was it?
So my point is, he's going off-site. Here's what I would do if I were John. I try to think of what I would do. All right. You've come out and said, it's not a back, Jonathan. You lied. If he lied, we don't want you getting treated for a back in the facility. We're going to take you outside the facility, because in the facility, you run the risk of somebody peeking their head in. You run the risk of somebody talking. You run the risk of somebody going. Outside the facility, you don't. So I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. We saw the same thing with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning went outside. Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck went outside. And we never knew until Peyton had surgery on his neck, the JMV actually broke. We never knew what was going on. Well, there was always something different than what we were told, and these guys were going outside the facility. Your point is absolutely 1,000%. If I had a heart procedure and it was a team's doctor, I would go to who I trust. But we've seen this story with the freaking Colts too often to lead me to believe that what they're telling me of 9 months into an ankle, not
right.
9 months, you don't do that for a damn ACL anymore.
High ankles are a little bit squirrely.
They are, no question about it. No question. But I'm just saying, the Colts, you mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to go back to what you said. The Colts have lied to me. Colts have lied to their fans. The Colts have hidden stuff.
Yeah.
The Colts have not been forthcoming with it. I don't trust them, and I don't believe what I read when it comes to the Colts. And I don't believe this is just an ankle.
I don't see any benefit from it. I get not saying anything about competition, about recruits, about that kind of thing. Who are you going to draft? Who are you looking at? Don't say anything about that. But if you're dealing with people with whom you need to have a trusting relationship, and by that I mean like fans who are investing in your product, I think that at some level you owe them some kind of honest reveal.
Do you think they have done that?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I don't know that about Steichen. Steichen hadn't lied to me yet.
You think it's the coach, or do you think it's the GM and the coming down from the owner?
Ballard is way full of shit. Irsay, like Jim, I think Irsay is resolutely honest, but leaves so many like catacombs for you to wander down and try to figure out where the honesty is, that that's the fun of it. Like Jim's just a puzzle who is almost always going to say the right thing in exactly the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But Ballard
I don't know
is full of shit.
Yeah, and you know it because he always tells us how he's not. You know, that's the first hint that a guy is lying to you is he says, I'm not lying. You know me. You know me. Okay. I know you, and I know that what you're going to say following you know me is absolute nonsense.
You know me. I've lied to you all this time. You know me, and you've protected me all these years, and so we have a great relationship. So, but this time, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know, I go back to what he said on your show because I'm listening, and he says about Quentin Nelson in the extension, I think you said 14 to 16. Hey, well, I don't know if it's going to be that much. It
20!
was more.
It was 20.
What? Like, what kind of a negotiator are you? Yeah, I don't think we can go as high as that, but we'll go much higher.
This is what I've been saying, Ken. This is what I've been saying. This whole thing is full of shit. And you, like I said this about Megan Rapinoe, you can't be a victim and lead.
Yeah,
you cannot be a victim.
That's a great point.
And you can't be full of shit and lead. You can't. The NFL is full of men. I always say this about the NFL. The NFL and most professional sports are like a funnel. You start out with this, and then for whatever reason, it gets down to this at the end. The funnel and is a very small funnel, and mostly the reason comes down talent, of course.
Right.
Work ethic, and I've always said intelligence and self-confidence of NFL players is off the freaking charts. I mean, off the charts. You're not able to bullshit guys that can die at their job. You're not able to bullshit guys that got to line up against a dude that is 320 pounds, full of steroids, and angry. And all of a sudden you come in with your little Patagonia t-shirt or your hat and and you try to show your biceps, and you played at fucking Wisconsin where you never played a minute, and bullshit. You cannot lead that way. You can't. It does not work. It just doesn't. And that's why I've said this guy and this regime, and once I totally lost respect for him, I didn't totally lose respect for him until these recent press conferences about a year ago where he was just so full of shit I couldn't stand it. But you can't lead that way. That's why I keep saying this organization is a fucking train wreck.
Things get complicated when you feel like your boss doesn't trust you.
And you don't trust him.
Irsay doesn't trust him.
No.
That's for damn sure.
That's why his daughters are in every meeting.
Yeah.
That's why his daughters, whose daughters?
Workouts.
Yes, and they're wearing headsets on sidelines, and they're in coaches' meetings. I don't know how people can't understand this.
Yeah.
And, all right, let's say you don't understand it. How have the results been?
Not so
That's
good.
what you got, Kent. That's what you got.
Is it 45, 51, and 1? Something like that?
So I go to this, and it's not like he took over a team that hadn't had a losing season. I know they're 8-8, but that ain't 2-14. Here's my thing. So how do you solve it? You solve it by hoping, praying that for once you did the right thing and you hired the right guy in Steichen. Yeah. And you hope and you pray that the mesh between Steichen and Anthony Richardson is let's just be conservative, a 5-year solution. That's conservative. You want your quarterback to be a 10, right? That's what you want. But let's be conservative on it and say you hope this marriage is a good 5 freaking year marriage.
And if you can win, then you give the GM back his soul.
Sure.
And then he can operate a little bit.
Absolutely.
Hiring a new guy, Ballard may be the best that the Colts could possibly get, even as he sits today.
All right, so let me ask you.
You want to work for Jim?
That's what I was going to say.
He's a pretty mercurial cat.
We like him.
Yes.
He seems to have a good heart.
Yes.
A good soul and great content. Do you think that he is, and I probably did it in the wrong way for him, do you think that outside folks whose careers, like you work your whole life to be a head coach, do you think they think Jim Irsay is a great guy?
I don't think so. I don't think people would want to, especially a GM. I think a GM can get a coach to come in and say, look, I'm going to protect you. It's my job to stand between you and Irsay and kind of filter out the nonsense. But a GM's going to wait. Jim would have to go get Polian, the next Polian, and then just say go, and Jim hides under his desk and frees Willie and all that crap. That's
Freeze
it.
Willie.
And who's going to come?
Freeze Willie. There's only 32 of them.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to come, somebody good, somebody with a good resume is going to come. Problem you have is, it's not a problem. The quality is going to depend, like damn near everything else. How good's Anthony Richardson? Guys lined up to come when you had freaking Andrew Luck. Guys couldn't wait to come when you had Peyton Manning.
But when you didn't have him, you hired, and I'm going to crap on your boy, and that's Grigson. Like, who is Ryan Grigson to come in here as a general manager of that team? Irsay had a problem at that point, an addiction problem that was active. You had no quarterback. You did have a really good draft. You had a bunch of draft picks that were going to work for you. But who came? It was Ryan. And Ryan wound up being better than we thought. But at that time, hiring off the resume, he wasn't the guy
I don't know.
that you'd want to bring in.
Do you know that? Like, I don't know what his resume was compared to who else.
Like a back of the room type scout guy with the Eagles, right?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that because
I
don't know.
Player personnel, something like that. With the Eagles.
I don't know who the others were to come in, and that's an interesting question.
Well, he wasn't Polian. He didn't come in with a track record of anything.
And do you think that? So then the question becomes, we're getting ahead of ourselves. What did Jimmy Irsay look for in Chris Ballard? He named Chris Ballard the best general manager prospect in the what century were we in? 21st. He did all this shit. So but he wasn't Polian either. So my question then becomes, who's interested? I think this. I think there's 32 of these jobs. I think these are grown-ass men. I think grown-ass men sometimes and grown-ass women don't get blamed for the responsibility they have for taking jobs and doing the job either good or bad. I think many times we pin it on someone else. I think many times we're going to pin it, well, Jimmy Irsay's this, Jimmy Irsay's that. Hey, look, there's only 32 of these. You don't have to work through a corporate board. If you're an adult male and you got an issue, you go right there and talk to Jimmy Irsay because by all accounts, he's always in the building. He wants to talk football. He wants to know what's going on. I don't know. I know what you're saying with Polian, proven track record, obviously.
And difficult guy to deal with.
Difficult
so he's
guy.
Available.
And sometimes a guy like Jimmy Irsay, who I would argue doesn't know what he doesn't know, needs a difficult, demanding, some would call crazy. I don't call it crazy. I just call it demanding, smart guy like Polian.
Somebody who can tell him no.
Yeah, just saying, look, you're fucked up. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's why I swear to God, I always go back to my old story. That's why I told Coach Knight, without me there, you're going to be fired in 3 years.
Did you really?
Yeah, because like he would yell at Clarence Doniger and go in the locker room and kafaw, and Ellenberger and Felling would be like, oh, you showed him. I'm like, no, he's got an ego too, dumbasses.
Yeah, right.
And he's the boss, and he's got an ego. And you got to cut that shit out. Knight would scream and yell at me, then call me later on at my house and go, you're pretty right. I didn't even do it again. But you need somebody.
So his default response was anger.
But
then he'd ruminate a minute.
Yeah. About 4 hours, 5 hours later, I'd be watching tape or something. And I'd get a call, Dan, and I'd be like,
Did you have caller ID back then?
Probably, but
So you knew it when it was him and when it wasn't him. The phone rang, and it wasn't like, okay, if it's Knight, my God, if it's my, it might be my mom.
Let me put it to you this way: when the phone rang, I knew, when you're a dad with kid or one more on the way, ain't a lot of people calling you at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Like when I was first an assistant, and it was like, you might call, hey, we're coming down for the game at 10 o'clock at night. When you're, you knew, but Jimmy Irsay needed Polian, and maybe looking back on him, maybe Jimmy Irsay needed a guy like Grigson. I mean, I know there was a lot of failures there, but this certainly hadn't worked. I think this. Here's what I think. This is the bottom line on it. It's all water under the bridge. Polian, Grigson, Ballard. You're gonna have to make a decision if you are Jimmy Irsay and Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen, particularly Ballard, if he has any say in it. Are we going to ride with this Richardson because he's the best we got and we're going to lose? If we're going to lose. Or am I going to try to save my job, if I'm Ballard, by riding a guy like Minshew a few times when I think it's right? Not all the time, but maybe to start. And here's the other deal, and don't make no mistake about this. Shane Steichen knows coaches get fired quick now. And you can be the guy that's coming in, and they can tell you whatever, but all of a sudden, you're 3-12. You as the coach, if you have any sense at all, you're shitting. Because that's your 3-12.
Yeah.
People may say during the season, they did this to me my last 5 years of bowling. Well, I can't believe my AD. I can't believe what a coaching job you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you're keeping games close, and you've got nothing. You've got everybody hurt, and you're playing walk-ons and football. Well, at the end of the day, your record is your record.
Look at the Broncos last year. We got our coach, we got Russell Wilson, but the thing that got his ass fired was Wilson coming
Sure.
in. That deal for Wilson
Sure.
lifted expectations to here. At the very least, expectations here are manageable, and you
Agreed.
feel like 7 wins would be pretty good.
Yeah, until you're 3-11.
The thing that I
And
think
people have bags over their heads. Because this isn't this is what you got to remember. This isn't the first year. It's the first year of Richardson. This is the backup year when you won, 3 games or 4 games?
yeah.
Haven't been to the playoffs. This is not the first year. This is not like, well, Andrew Luck retired. We're going to give you a moment of grace here. No, this is back. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you the way a coach thinks. People may think differently, and it may be differently. I'm just telling you the way a coach thinks. Now, a coach also thinks my way's better than anybody. That crew did this wrong. The Sean Payton deal, what he did to Hackett.
Jeez, can you
right?
imagine?
That's what coaches do.
Yeah.
But you do that, but you think that, you don't say that.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
You
don't
do.
say it.
No,
No.
because you look like an idiot for saying it. You think, I remember.
And then you better pony up, big boy.
Oh.
You better win 7, 9, 12 games, because if you don't, you're in that same thing.
Maybe-
And when did Sean Payton do jack shit in the NFL without Drew Brees as his quarterback?
People say, well, the Colts only won 1 with Peyton Manning. Last I looked, Drew Brees going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
They only
right.
won because that freaking, now I think he's dating transvestites. Hank Bassett, who freaking, what did he do? He fumbled the kick. His wife left him. He's on my freaking, the star at my checkout line a couple years ago, caught with, I don't know what the hell he was caught with. I don't know. The whole thing is chaos. And it would have been, Sean Payton's a scab. And here's Sean Payton,
Yeah.
right? And here he's the mouth criticizing guys that have been lifelong
Yeah.
coaches. And I like Sean Payton.
Here's my thing with Ballard. I think 2 things. I think, man, I'm glad he's got that job, because I don't know what would be coming next. Rebuilding from that point down, man, that's a tough thing to do. The other thing I think is 45, 51-1. What are we doing? 4-12-1, and he's been here. This is his 7th draft. This is his team. Ryan Kelly is the only Grigson holdover at this point. He's responsible for all this crap. Is this the best that's coming? Or can we expect another 2018 or another 2020 where things are a little bit fun around here again? We got spoiled in the 2000s. We really got, 12 wins was like, well, of course.
I remember Kravitz wrote an article. Colts, I don't know what their record was. I'm going to have this wrong, but they were 3-1, 4-1.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I think it was like my first or second year, I don't even know, working for you at Emma's. And the article was basically, yeah, they're 4-1, but they ain't any good.
Yeah,
right. Now we beat Minnesota, and Doyle's writing an article. Super Bowl game plan is here. I mean, expectations certainly are lowered. Media is the worst. And I think they're lowered for a reason. You're in the worst division in football. You have 0 home playoff games, 0 division titles. You think about the quarterbacks that have been in this division. I guess Deshaun Watson was considered good, but they've all stunk. Ryan Tannehill has been the guy. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, now you got a fresh start. You got a new year, and away you go. But I'm telling you, Ken, I swear to you, this thing goes off the rail. And all right, let me go this route with you. All right, let me change the subject because I want to get into this with you before we go. Now, let's go through it. You got the situation with Taylor. They get this Chris Lamons guy who jumped along with Alvin Kamara.
I know where you're going.
You got this guy who's suspended a couple games. You're looking at Kareem Hunt, who apparently is visiting today after a great visit with the Saints.
Watch that video again.
Oh.
Him in the hotel.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Holy hell.
How's he still in the league?
Eh.
And then you got the thing, and I feel bad for the kid. What's his name? Rodgers.
Yeah.
And then the freaking idiot's dad, not the idiot, the good guy, Rodney Thomas is a good guy, but his dad's shooting freaking bald eagles. I mean, this operation.
You got to decide who you are, right? I mean, either you're high character guys and low football talent, or high football talent and low character guys. I guess you'd like to have both somehow. But we're starting to make a few compromises in the character area, I think. Seeing what's his name?
Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt charge off the elevator and throw his shoulder into that woman. That was disconcerting.
How about the video of Alvin Kamara and Chris Lamings just jumping this guy and beating the shit out of him? I mean,
kicking him when he's on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, like, all right. But I remember there was a time on my show where Rick Venturi is like, look, you go get Willis McGahee. You go get Willis McGahee. Well, he punched the guy at Boise. Like, I don't care what he did. Who cares? You go get Willis McGahee. I think it was McGahee that punched him. Who was the guy? Blunt. It was Blunt. The guy. LeGarrette Blunt. That was the guy. You go get Blunt. Well, we can't. He's not a horseshoe guy. And Venturi's like, because he punched the guy on the field at Boise? Who gives a rat's ass? Guy deserved to be punched. What are we talking about?
Rick likes the guys when they come off the team bus where you go,
yes.
Oh, no.
You know what Rick likes? Rick likes the guy, because Rick and me, everybody, been involved in enough losing. Rick likes the guy that when everybody's out of the locker room and you're having a bourbon or a beer, or you're, in my case, going to the bowling alley to have a cheeseburger and 100,000 beers, you feel great about life because you just won the fucking game. That's who Rick likes. Not the guys that are like, well, you know, you lost, but hey, Joey Bag of Donuts had a 3.8. I don't give a fuck about Joey Bag of Donuts 3. I'm sorry, I'm fired up today. I haven't seen you in a couple weeks, so I get fired up.
All of the kids, all of the players and their children out on the field, you know, okay.
Dan, we absolutely love the Junior Falcons program. What you're doing for my son. All right.
And that kind of crap was important to you.
It wouldn't be now.
Working with walk-ons.
Yeah, it wouldn't be now.
You know.
It wouldn't be now. It'd be like, hey, go check the police blog. I think so-and-so just got out of jail in a double murder, but I heard he was unbelievable in the prison. Let's see if he's got any eligibility left. Hey, by the way, we got 160 of you. Make sure you like us and subscribe to us. We need subscriptions.
And if you do, subscribe here and subscribe to my channel. You have a chance, and you got to DM me so I know where to send the jersey. You got a chance to win an Anthony Richardson Indiana Knights jersey with the trim and the alternate jersey. It looks very cool. It will when it's shipped to me, and I'll immediately ship it to somebody who checked all those boxes that I listed.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do this show more once the season's here. But one of the things that I want to get into before you're done, we're done here. Where were you? I saw. I'm not gonna get into politics of it, but where were you? Were you anywhere with the women's national soccer team?
I could not have cared
less.
I couldn't either. I had no. Like, you make a great point about Megan Rapinoe. If you're going to play the victim, you can't lead. And if all you're going to do, you come off the field after a loss like that and you say, I'm really proud of where we've come from. What the hell are you talking about? You went from being a World Cup champion to now being disharmonious in group play where you didn't play well at all. And then you get beat in the first round. What the hell is that? Right? Really? You campaigned for getting all the jack, right? You got your bag, like the kids say. And now you can't play anymore? What is that? I didn't like it at all.
You know what I thought? Politics aside, and, people make it into politics, I just thought it was an unlikable team.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Bowling Green, we had a team in 2000 and 2002 that were really good. The 2000 team and the 2002 team, they resonated with the crowd. I mean, we had Anthony Stacy. He was always at parties, hosting parties, Lenny and those guys. Sometimes teams that are good don't resonate with the fan base for whatever the reason.
Right.
And I felt like this particular group of women, there was nothing there that was likable.
I don't think they liked each other.
It seemed like.
And that's really important. Like, and from playing, when you were at Indiana and you guys really liked each other and you guys were out at parties and we enjoyed your company, that was, you got people behind you and they saw you as a group that was harmonious. I think it's like going to see a band up at Ruoff. If you go see the band and they really like each other,
you can
that's
tell.
Fun.
Yeah.
Right. You do. You feel it. And like I'm in the lawn all the time. And if the band sucks and they don't like each other, then I'm talking to you the whole time. And it's like being at a party and there's a band way over there.
Yeah.
If they like each other, then you're like, ooh, what's that? There's a charisma to it.
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I'm going. I can't wait to go. I'm fired up to go. It's part of my Danny D's birthday celebration. I'm going to Ruoff to see Nickelback.
Are you really?
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I like Nickelback. I know that's a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing? I like Nickelback. I'm fired up at going to see Nickelback. I can't wait. I heard Nickelback puts an unbelievable show on. And if you are there, I will buy you a beer if you're in the lawn. But I'm not going to be. I'm going VIP. I go to one VIP.
Do you really?
I do. One a year. Take my wife.
Sit in the,
I don't know yet.
Are you in a fancy seat or are you up in the lodges?
No, I'm going to be in a seat close. I don't spend money like on clothes, obviously, or anything else. But once a year, Lee and I do something VIP.
Yeah.
We may even get a limo.
Here's the thing that people should love about you is that
Why are you always defending me?
Are 100% all in behind something.
Yeah.
Or you are zero.
Zero.
You're never 70.
Zero.
You're never like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to try to have a good time.
I'm going to a wedding this weekend, and I hate weddings.
Why am I always defending you?
You're always
somebody's got to.
You're always defending me. Here's what people don't know about Dockage. He's really not the dick that he appears to be. But so let me ask you a question. For you were the same age. We have basically the same taste in most stuff.
Yeah.
Would you go to a Nickelback concert?
I probably will because I got one of the
That's what. Okay,
passes.
that's
I just show up and watch.
Would you
I would not make an effort to go.
No.
I got Pearl Jam coming up.
Line, the clubs I never get in it. I've had enough of Eddie Vedder. I've had enough of Jim Belushi. I'm just going to tell you. Jim Belushi, Eddie Vedder. Is it Jim Belushi dead?
What's Jim Belushi dead? John Belushi's dead.
I know.
Jim is the weirdo brother.
Yeah. Jim Belushi. Yeah. Great opening scene in About Last Night. Great opening scene.
Right.
Wonderful.
Right.
I'm tired of Eddie Vedder, Bill Murray, that one guy who was in all those John Hughes movies, Cusack.
I've had it with that
all
guy.
These Cubs guys. I've had enough of all of them.
Yeah.
So Eddie Vedder, I like Eddie Vedder. I like his voice. I like Pearl Jam. All these Cub guys Tom Dreesen, and Joe Montegra, all these guys. I've had enough. Enough of all these guys.
Where would Tom Dreesen be if not at Wrigley Field? He's on the street.
He used to open for Frank.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I've had enough. So that's my Cubs guy list.
The clubhouse and the field are for players and team personnel. Yeah. They are not for me. They are not for you. They are not for Bill Murray. They are not for Eddie Vedder. Stay the hell out of the clubhouse. I don't want any part of any of that. Bill Murray running around with beers and champagne. No. Absolutely no. And John Cusack can kiss my ass too. And I love do you know what Jerry Reinsdorf did to that guy?
No.
He was always about the Cubs, right? Sox go to the World Series in 2005. He calls the White Sox and wants tickets. Reinsdorf stepped in and said, no. He's a Cubs guy. Yeah. He's not welcome here.
Good.
Only thing I've ever known that Jerry Reinsdorf did that I applaud. Yeah, John Cusack. John Cusack used to sit in a bar in Chicago with like a legal pad and a pencil, writing out his plays with a bandana like he's some damn auteur. He's the next Eugene O'Neill. What are you doing? Write your play in your living room like a normal person. He's out in the bar and he's got the smokes and he's got the beer. Jesus.
He thinks he's Mike Royko.
What a fraud.
I've had enough. Kent, I'm sorry, but I've had enough of
I'm
all
with you
of it.
100%.
No, I'm telling you.
100%.
Last thing. Speaking of Chicago, Tim Anderson, they dropped the gloves. Jose Ramirez drops him. I got to tell you, Tim Anderson, one, has a glass jaw. How do you go down from that? I mean, I don't know.
It was like Liston and Ali, right? The Phantom Right.
Yes. Two, how do you walk into a clubhouse, Major League clubhouse, where nobody gives shit better than major leaguers? What do you do?
You better know who you're fighting before you put your hands up here.
Yeah.
And fighting him, here somebody said this in Colts media. We were talking about this at the practice, and a guy goes, "You don't fight Latinos. Latinos can take a punch." And they know how to throw one. If you're some punk and you step in against a Latino, that Latino is going to beat your ass because he'd rather fight than play. That's pretty good. I had no argument for that at all. It sounds kind of a racially based thing, but I think it's actually complimentary.
Probably very factual. I don't know, but
You want to run around the Dominican?
No, I'm thinking this. I'm thinking, all those, like I used to know, almost to weight class, who was the number one contender, who was the champ in every weight class.
Right.
And I'll bet you money, if you look through it, the Latinos are dominating it, other than maybe the heavyweights. Look, I did see this. I think Tom Hamilton said it on the broadcast, which was a great call. Down goes Anderson. Down goes. But I did see where Jose Ramirez is supposedly like the nicest dude that never gets upset about balls and strikes, doesn't get upset about nothing. And he's like, hey, that dude was disrespecting the game.
Yeah, he popped him in the head. Right? He caught him
though,
with that tag in the head.
You and I have seen a lot of stuff. I saw Mick Kelleher and Dave Kingman when Kelleher was on the Cubs and Kingman was on whoever. I was at the game. They started fighting at second base. I've seen baseball brawls. Remember when Bud Harrelson and Pete Rose at second base?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Right? But I've never seen dudes drop the gloves. The umpire went over there. They squared it up. I've never seen that in a baseball game. Ooh.
And what I don't like, I think fights have a place in competition, and it deflates kind of the tension and the energy. I think it's a good thing, and I think the 6 games
I'm with you. How about you got knocked out and you got it twice, 2 times the suspension of the guy that knocked your ass out?
We've got to present a family, a wholesome atmosphere for our fans. That's ridiculous. These are not wholesome individuals. They're hard-ass competitors.
Yeah.
Let them go.
I agree. I mean, there's a great scene in basketball. This is from back in the day, and you can look this up on YouTube. Daryl Dawkins and Maurice Lucas in the NBA Finals are squared off, just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, not one suspended. They went to the benches. They came back in the rest of the game. They played, not a suspension.
How about
Nothing.
Irving and Bird? With,
right.
Anybody suspended?
No.
I don't think so.
No. And society isn't better for the suspension. However, society is better for this show. What are they to do, Ken?
Subscribe, because it's the right thing to do.
And
it's polite. We're here, we're talking, you're enjoying it. Hit the button, it's just that easy. And if you want to win an Anthony Richardson Indiana Knights jersey, subscribe to this station and then my station, send me a DM, and you're all entered.
All right, last thing. Kent's got the best content, best videos. Look, we live in a video age. And Kent legitimately gives you videos like every 2 minutes on what he sees from Colts camp. He's not out here trying to promote his dog or whatever the horse shit these guys are. And it doesn't cost anything.
No.
Like, it's not like
No
you got to
memberships.
listen to, who's the Colts writer for The Athletic now?
James
Kravitz?
Boyd.
No, Kravitz. James Boyd. Well, thanks to everybody. Thanks, Pecan Pies. Thank you, John.
Oh, good dude.
Oh, man, Kyle Farnsworth was challenged one time. Kyle Farnsworth, it was right on the third base line.
Yeah.
He beat the shit. He body slammed I remember my boy Belcher got into it with Hesop Choi.
Really?
On first base. I think it was Hesop Choi, yeah.
Kyle Farnsworth had the biggest goddamn thighs I've ever seen in my life.
You know, he's a bodybuilder now.
Is he really?
Yeah, an insane one. Like,
I'm trying to think of fighters with the Cubs. I don't remember guys.
Mick Callagher did. I remember little Mick Callagher.
He was crazy.
Flipped up Kingman. Would the Sards throw hands with anybody? I don't know. Would Zonk? I'm giving you all the nicknames from that.
What Moreland would do is come out, but he'd tackle
Who?
the guy. Zonk Moreland.
Oh, Moreland. He was a football player.
Yeah,
right?
he'd go tackle a guy, which Robin Ventura tried to do with Nolan Ryan, and that did not go well for
Nuggies!
Robin Ventura. Whap, whap,
You know,
whap, whap,
and this
whap.
is Tim. All right, let's go real quick. Is Tim Anderson in the Robin Ventura space of,
Ooh.
I don't give a damn how good your career, and Ventura was terrific.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
all you
yeah.
remember him is this, is Tim Anderson, who's terrific at All-Star, is he going to be remembered from now on?
I think so.
I do too.
How would you not?
I know.
We'll talk to you
See,
next week for
let's
sure.
do it.